So how did you think, what did you think of the midterm?
Well, you'd have to be reading the entire quarter and then have to go back and read it all, but uh, eh, what do you think?
Uh, I felt like I mean it was okay. There was some of the stuff I forgot, and I didn't really try to bother looking for the information. I just took my best guess.
Yeah, I felt the same. That test was just like there's a lot of stuff, right?
Mhm.
That you won't be able to remember, so you might as well take your best guess.
Yeah, Dylan, thanks for the reply on that, my two string.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it was weird. So I figured it out. There's a two string. So this is quest 5, where you
Hmm.
do a two string, and it it requires a char. But
Really?
I initialized it, yeah, because of the use the sprintf, and the argument requires a char. And the way I declared it initially was char buff equals new char. And
Hmm.
even though it comes out equal, it's still an error. And
I'm
so
on
the
the
moment what's that?
Oh, sorry. I'm on the reciprocal right now. I'm on quest 10.
Yeah.
Quest 10.
The code is there. It's just they didn't tell you how to initialize it. Or they didn't
Yeah,
tell you how to declare it. I'm sorry. And
yeah,
that was
the
the
way,
difference. So
yeah, because that could be, I mean, I'm surprised that it caught it because it is like technically the same, but that
yeah.
would be pretty dangerous, like, because you're really only allocating space for that one character with the way you had it written. And then if, and then sprint F just thinks, okay, that's where the array is supposed to start. So it starts copying things there. But if you hadn't actually allocated, 100 spots or whatever, just the
Yeah.
one spot, and then you had some like really important memory right after that, then sprint F is just gonna overwrite it. So I
So
guess
you're saying it may have overwritten, so it may have overwritten some memory that I only declared like one spot, or basically, or I allocated one spot, but it overwrote whatever data is after that. That's interesting because
yeah,
there's another uh s that's interesting how the test can catch something like that. I don't know.
yeah,
Uh
yeah, that's good. I mean, because technically an array is just like the name, whatever, buffer in this case, is
right.
just like kind of like a pointer to the first character.
Yeah.
So you made a pointer to a character and you gave it to sprintf. And so sprintf is thinking, okay, this is great. I've got my pointer to the first character. It
Yeah.
doesn't even, I guess it doesn't check to see if the space afterwards has been actually allocated for that array and just starts copying stuff. So yeah, it could be
Huh.
dangerous.
I guess if it was string, and I mean, I'm not sure why they use sprintf, because maybe because of the formatting, but if it was string,
Mhm.
maybe it doesn't matter. It already automatically allocates memory for that, but this is char this time. Um so yeah, I guess it only reserves, as you said, reserves one spot. Uh
Yeah, if you
hmm,
wanted to do multiple spots when you're doing the new, then you would put the brackets
the actual
next to it, say
brackets.
however many. Mhm.
For charm?
Yeah,
Yeah. It was interesting how the autograder caught how the char was declared. Um, or I not that it caught it, but maybe I don't know. I don't know how the autograder does it. It
it
matched
just
it.
knew that the representation was different somehow, which
The
is very interesting.
representation. Hmm. Okay. I wish, I mean, these errors, there's some I just don't understand. Yeah, maybe it's the representation of it. Yeah, again,
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just interesting. Yeah, but that was this quest was not as bad. It's actually not bad.
Yeah, I know. It was a nice break.
Yeah,
Compared to
I
the
saw it as
last
a break
one.
too. It totally was a break. Yeah.
Well, it's midterm week, and
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
and
why.
plus,
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
I'm like super happy that everybody's caught up now. Almost everyone is caught up, so that's great. So there's this time. The timing of this quest works out really nicely, right? Because the first four, you could take a bit of time. 6, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 and 6. We've done 3 and 4. I think 6 and 7 are pretty straightforward. You just have to follow the spec and do things and get it done. 8 will require a bit of time, and hopefully 9 will be a kind of treat.
So Anand, we were just talking about how when we declare char, is it bad to declare a char with a new operator? Does a char always have to be with brackets and then allocated
Okay.
number of that?
Yeah, okay. So you are asking whether it makes sense to allocate a single character?
It caused, it was interesting because I got an error where it was clearly matching. So
Yeah,
somehow,
I saw your post, and
Yeah.
Dylan replied to it, and then he was describing his reply also, I think, before when I just joined. So
Right.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So typically the overhead of heap management is so, because anytime you have to go to Trader Joe's and buy something in order to make something, you have second thoughts about it, right? Because if
Right.
it's already in your kitchen, that doesn't matter so much. So that's why we say, if you just want like one pack of olives, you're not going to go to Trader Joe's for that, okay? Or one olive. So that's like one char. So you don't want to go to the heap to get one char usually, most of the time. So what you do is when you ask stuff on the heap, you ask for lots of chars, like,
Okay.
a buffer. But in this case, like Dylan pointed out, even asking for a buffer is a pain, because it's like 20 bytes or whatever it is. And then you could just, when you start your program, most operating systems, there's a way to find out. You can Google it and find out. Google and find out how to find out, right? Every time a program starts up, it gets two kinds of memory spaces. One of them is called a stack space, and the other one is space on the heap. Now, the stack space is typically limited, and you can set the stack space on most operating systems. On Unix, for example, right? There's a command that super users can say, that's saying, when anyone's programs start up, make sure that the stack is never more than 100 megabytes. Yeah, so even though your computer might have lots and lots of memory chips and have like terabytes of memory, but when your process starts up, it only has like 100 megabytes of stack. But stack is much faster, and because it doesn't have the management overhead of heap. Yeah, so it's much faster to access. So all the automatic and local variables are usually on stack. And return addresses. So when you call a function, control is transferred to the CPU's control is transferred to a different memory address, right? Because the instructions for that function may exist at location X. Whereas the original program started at location Y, and all of a sudden there's a call, and then the CPU has to say, well, I'm not going to go to the next instruction, which I usually do. I got to go to instruction X instead. But if it does that, it needs to remember where to go back, because otherwise it's lost its home address. Yes. So it needs to have some way of remembering where it was before it goes to that other place. So that place is called the return address. So every time there's a function call, it needs to take the return address and push it on stack, just like a local variable, just like your automatic variable, right? So your stack actually has a bunch of things in it. It has your return address, at least, right? It has your return address, and then it has all the parameters that your function was invoked with. Because how do the functions get the parameters? Yeah, it's got to be pushed on stack. So they're automatically local variables for you, automatic variables, which means that after the function is gone, the stack is released and all of them are, all of them disappear automatically. So there's no manual management of the space allocated to these variables called. That's why I think these variables are called automatic variables. Until today, until this moment, I didn't know why they were called automatic variables. I was just calling them automatic variables, right? But I think it's automatic because, the memory management is automatic. You don't have to say, I got to new this, I got to delete it. Because if you do new delete, you got to maintain a notebook, yeah? So if your accounting doesn't match up, you got a memory leak. So with stack stuff, it's local variables. The system, you can do anything on the stack, but you only get 100 megabytes. There's still a lot of space. So I know a lot of programmers who are not aware of the luxury of the stack, and so they use the heap all the time. But you can do a lot of stuff on the stack itself. So it may be worth finding out how much you can do on the stack. So when you do buffer, like the way that command you posted about, right, says. It says, give me a character array. This is a buffer with square brackets. This is a character array. And then within square brackets, I believe you also have a number, right? 50 or something like that. So it says, give me a character array of 50 characters. Just like, give me an integer array of 50 integers. And a character array in C and C++ is exactly the same as a string. The only difference is that a string has the characters, but also a sentinel, a null character, a /0 at the end. You'll actually encounter the null character in quest number 8, right? So your string is basically a character array in C++. So in fact, if you fill up your buff with lots and lots of characters and put a /0 at the end, you can send it to cout, just like a string, and it'll print out. And that's the default behavior for in C and C++. So it actually worked very nicely on the stack. But you can do on the heap, but like Dylan pointed out, it is overkill, especially for one character, right? So that's like going to Trader Joe's for each olive or each peanut.
I see. So when I did the new operator, it may have overwrote memory that shouldn't have been overwritten.
No, that's not the reason.
That's not the reason?
That's not the reason.
If I use
the reason is that when you did the new, if you had done new 50, that would have been okay.
Oh,
you did new 1. So it only gave you one character.
New char. Oh, I just did one.
Yeah. Right. And that's why,
no, because it was able to return the I mean, it's still matched.
Yeah, it returns one character. It says you got a memory address.
It returned the whole thing. I mean, it's
no,
still.
No. It returned that one character. It says you have one free character given to you at location X, and that 1 byte belongs to you. However, there's a whole bunch of stuff beyond that byte that didn't belong to you. Right, but your cout or aspirant or whatever it is went ahead and wrote into those bytes anyway, and you got extremely lucky because the runtime system.
I got lucky.
Yeah, because the runtime system usually catches these things by doing checksums on memory, and it has these memory management things, right? Otherwise, how does it catch read-only errors? Because usually on C++ programs, you get segmentation violations. Segmentation violations, the broken pointers that you get, most common when you actually go and write into someone else's house.
Yeah.
Right. He said, I want a new pink refrigerator, but it's got to live in Shirley's house. Right. So that is not allowed. So, when you do that, the police can catch you and say, well, that's not allowed. And so you get an instant segmentation violation. However, sometimes when you say, I don't want to know, I don't want to put the refrigerator in Shirley's house, but I just want to know what she's got in her fridge. Right. So in other words, you're like a thief. I come in there and open his fridge and look at it and come out. That's, lots of people don't like that. Right. So that's also a memory violation because it's your place. Yeah. And so that's harder to catch. But even that, I'm surprised many times the C++ compiler will actually catch that. I originally thought that it only happens because when you have memory that's explicitly not allocated to you, you overwrite, you say that's null, it's a null pointer, right? And then when you write into the null pointer, the system, I think, has a hardware trigger there, and it'll immediately say, bam, someone tried to access a null pointer, you're going to kill him, right? But if you didn't have a null pointer, and you just had a random pointer that was pointing to someone else's data or even your own data, then I think it's much harder for the system to catch it. But even those cases, I have found that sometimes the system does catch it. I don't know what the exact mechanism is, or maybe I'm just mistaken here. But usually it's much harder to catch because think about it. This is terabytes of memory, and how can it's not feasible to monitor every single one of them.
Okay. All right, that's clear. Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I'm glad everybody's caught up now, so that's really fun. So great. Hey, Dylan, you have a question?
Yeah, so Ryan posted on the Reddit about have us needing to like sign a petition or something to get you a class for
Partition?
fall 2C, a
Oh, well,
petition.
petition. Yeah,
Uh,
I didn't know. I was thinking he was just going to send an email to the dean or someone, the admin. But yeah, I think a petition is really cool too. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, one of my friends started a company, not a company, started something called change.org. I don't know. I think that's petitions. It is called change.org, and the names kind of suggest like it's petitions. Adam started the company. When was it? Back when he was at SRI, I think we were. But he's not been associated with that for a long time now, but I think it's still there. You can do it there. There's a ton of sites like that. Maybe there's one that's focused only for community colleges, who knows, right?
okay.
Or even in the worst case, you can just send an email, right? So just send an email with collection of signatures from people, professionals that want to do this class, but it's not available. Yeah.
Okay.
20,
Got it.
I think 20 makes sense for Foothill, okay? Any less than 20, if Foothill takes a loss in running that class, because it has to pay the instructor, it has to pay the upkeep of the room, it has to pay all of those things. And the loss kind of, you know how these things work, right? Economics.
Right.
So 20 is a cutoff. That is a secret number. But usually if the class fills up with less than 20 students, it is a great sacrifice on Foothill's part to run the class, or it gets canceled.
I see. So we just need to like collectively get in touch with the dean or something about our interest in you running that
Petition is
class.
fine too, because all of your signatures will be implicit there. You don't have to do all these, someone doesn't have to mediate these things. You just like go to this place and do it, right? And when it's ready, you can send it. Yeah, and also copy me. Maybe I can see if it's necessary to take that and escalate that to the VPI. Maybe, yeah, maybe. And one of the things that I think we don't like at Foothill is obviously, right, this class is an overload for me, which means that if an adjunct is not available, I will teach it. But first preference is given to adjuncts, because I have my regular load, which is 2A and 2B. I'm going to be teaching 2A and 2B. 2C next quarter is overload for me. Spring is usually my regular load for 2C.
I see.
But Ryan said spring is too late for him. Yeah, because he has to. Most of you, I think, after fall, you're applying to colleges and things like that, for transfer graduate study. So, so for fall, yeah, we don't like bumping an adjunct, meaning that if an adjunct is allocated to C, they would have planned a lot of things around it. Yes, because that is a chunk of their income too. Who knows? Or maybe they don't need it, but still they would have planned. They would prepared material for it. So nobody likes to say, hey, even though you prepared material, you're going to take your students and give them to Anand. And so we try to avoid that. But even more that Foothill doesn't like, and this could just be a point of strategy for you as you write your email to Foothill or something like that, is that we don't like when classes are scheduled but are canceled, which is even worse, when the students also get affected, right? Because previously it was just the adjunct that got affected. But if a class only has 19 students, or some critical number dropped, and then we have to cancel the class, then the adjunct is out of the the teaching, and then the 19 students, they got to find another instructor, and if another section is not offered at Foothill or DANSA, they're basically screwed, right? Because some of them are depending on that because they got to. Many of them may have to spend an extra 3 months of living expenses before they can apply to college and get scholarships. Yeah, that's all of that adds up. So that's why. So those are the two things that we try to avoid, and it's always a delicate balance. And admin is trying to do this dance. But if you know the actual odds of these things happening, you can communicate that and saying, hey, it makes sense that I understand that you don't want to cancel the class, but I understand that you don't want to pull the class away from an adjunct, but this may be a good balance, right? So Ryan, for example, he's got a business background, so he can come up with a good case for these things.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so those are things that you could try. I will be teaching in spring for sure. Okay, this spring I will be teaching 2A. If the overload is assigned to me, meaning that they found another class for the adjunct before all the dates are finalized, then I'll be offering 2C. And however, even if you guys are not doing my 2C, okay, formally in class, if you just after the knowledge or want to know how to hack or do these things for fun, you can just be a practically for all purposes a full-time student. Just do the red quest, participate in the Reddit as though you're a student, like Dylan is doing in 2B, right? Right? You just be a regular student. And you're totally welcome, and your input is welcome. Is actually sought after, and everybody looks forward to getting your advice. And you've been so helpful to everybody here. Shirley was, I was talking to you when I came, so that's an absolute possibility. You can continue to do C, and in fact, 2A I will be offering on campus in fall, and it's 2A. Okay, like Namrata's already done it. She knows, right? So it's 2A. It will be done in fact, but I think we'll get a good class. Hopefully, we'll get a good classroom. And I'm trying to see if I can, and 6 p.m. at night, right? 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., but it doesn't have to end at 8. You guys can all, I talked to you last time, I think, about this. So you can stick around, and 2C students are welcome to come, and they can actually sit in class, help the 2A students, and work on their own 2C quest at the same time, have meetings after the class ends. You can just continue with your hackathon until I have to leave and things like that. So all of that is possible. Okay, so there's many opportunities for you guys. It's not just that one class that, especially at UC, SB and all, there should be lots and lots of classes too. And so you can consider all those possibilities, but you don't have to make yourself absent on the 2C forums and the questing system for that, right? It's basically free. Because if nobody is using it for months on end, I'll turn it off. But otherwise, I'll just keep it going because it doesn't cost me a lot to run it. But I don't want to be, mindful of that. If nobody's using it, I'll just turn it off. Or I'll give it to some of my friends at SRI. And but let me know. And you don't have to be enrolled. That's what I mean, right? So it's $150. But if you don't need the grade, just do the quests. And if a bunch of you get together and want classes in 2C, I'm happy to do a Zoom class. Just get together and say, hey, you know what? There's a bunch of us. We want to learn about Kruskal's algorithm, and we want to code. That's even more fun, right? Like we did in class. Let's say we just open up an editor and we start coding Kruskal's algorithm in C++. Yeah, and it's very simple. You can do these things. We can pick random algorithms each time. Start with Kadane's algorithm, which is really simple. Finding the least common. What is it? I actually forgot what the maximum subsequent sum. Okay, and it's a very nice problem. In fact, Google this if you have spare time after 2B. Okay, because I think it's more like 2C level. No, it's not 2C level. Okay, you can Google it. Kadane's algorithm, Kadane, right? And for finding. And the solution is so elegant, it's so beautiful, and it's very counterintuitive. But once you find it, it's very intuitive. But don't read the algorithm, but try and read the problem description and find the algorithm yourself, because you can come up with the algorithm for sure, right? But the actual implementation, you can look at Kadane's algorithm or even Bentley's implementation, because even after you understand the algorithm, there's a certain way of implementing it has aesthetics. Yeah. Because you know how to do it, but a true artisan will basically make sure all the shadows are in the right place and everything. So that kind of thing you can find from the professional programmers who've been at this for a long time, and say it's not just enough that it does good stuff and does it fast, but it also needs to look good, right? So when you get to that stage, you can actually look at the published algorithms of these guys. But until then, you can just come up with your own. It'll work. Maybe it won't be as fast, but you'll have the essential concepts down. And I think it's always important to do that before looking at the actual solution, because nobody's ever stuck. Okay, people always say in 2C, it was I'm stuck. Nobody's ever stuck. Okay, so I've found this out, and I have empirical evidence, right? When people say I'm stuck, help me, I say go to hell. And then after 5 days, they say this is a solution, I found it myself. Right? And so if you just don't help them, they find the solution themselves. And that's why I said last time that being a parent is really hard, because you have to say no to your kid. Even when you can just raise your hand and help them. And that really takes a lot of training and practice, and only building up from small things you can get there, because it's just like muscles. You got to get it stronger and stronger and stronger. So don't look up the algorithms unless you've given it enough thought and you're close to getting bored of the problem. Then you can say, all right, I'm going to move on to something else, but I'll look at this anyway, right? Then it makes sense. Anyway, that's all. You don't have to, you don't have to follow all this, silly unclish advice, but you're welcome to keep that in your mind as you look at these things. Okay. So yeah, 2C, a bunch of you get together and you want classes, just let me know. right? We'll just organize a Saturday, Sunday, anytime you guys are all free and get together, and we'll do a class.
So this
right.
class you were talking about, if for in the fall, the 6 p.m., but it's 2A. So
CS2A,
again,
CS2A. He talked to Namrata. She was in my CS2A class, but it was Zoom. But we'll do this in person, meaning that, you know, we'll have a laptop and that'll be on screen, but we'll also be in the same room, all of us at the same time.
I see. Because again, I'm doing this class to practice C++. I'm not.
Oh, you totally come. Surely, if you're in the Bay Area, right? 6 p.m. If you're free on 6 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays, you just come, right? And
Yeah.
you'll probably be you can say you're done with 2B, right? So you can just hang around lectures, help students with coding, and also help the odd person who needs to know how things work, right? Or there's char, new, delete, and stuff like that, which you only get to week 7 or week 8, week 9 is when we'll start getting to new and delete.
Okay.
I think until then we'll do some basic stuff, but even the basic stuff will be interesting, right? Actually interesting. Even before we got to pointers, people were doing movies and all. Okay. In fact, I think was it Dylan or someone, right? Namrata or someone. Yeah, Erica made this movie of Totoro. That thing. It's on our blue subreddit. You can take a look at it. We do a lot of really cool, interesting things, and we'll hopefully get a chance.
I think I'm
to do
missing
more.
the basic stuff. I think that's one.
Come, right?
Yeah.
Come. It's free. You don't have to enroll. You can't enroll because you did 2B. I don't know if Foothill will allow you to enroll. You can check.
Okay.
Generally, we don't let the 2B. Someone who's passed 2B can do 2A again, or 2C. You can do 2B. I think. So
really?
I'm not aware of it's government regulations. I think maybe I don't know. You can try. We've had students like Antonio was enrolled in both 2B and 2C at the same time. How did that happen? Right? And then he dropped 2C and now he's in 2B only. But that was probably an accident, but Foothill let that happen. So maybe you can enroll in 2A if you want, but you already know all
weird. That's really weird. Like 2B and 2C at the same time.
Yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? Yeah, that's really crazy.
That'd be like just getting like
see, the thing is, it's like this complex graph. This process of student admission, in not just Foothill, any institution. There's a complex graph of prerequisites and post-requisites, co-requisites and things like that. And in order to, if you go to a counselor at Foothill, they have to determine if you have the right prerequisites for a class. And that prerequisite can be from any institution. And that institution, if it's affiliated, it has a map somewhere, cid.net or something like that, assign.org or something. Yeah. And the map will tell you this course is equal to that course. And you have to digest all that information. Basically, it's just finding a path to the graph, saying, is there a path from A to B? And that's what a counselor does. And that's why, a counselor's job is really hard at Foothill. They have to go through all this in order to find, they have to know what colleges students come from, what their prerequisites are, what they've done, and so on. And they say, okay, now you're eligible to do these 5 courses. Which one do you want to do? And sometimes students get impatient with that. But that's what they do. So you can find out 2A, if you are able to enroll, that's great. You don't need to. Even if you don't enroll, just feel free to come to the class, just like a regular student. No problems, right? And just sit in class, and I'm pretty sure we'll have space. If there's no space, I'll just ask for a bigger room. We have a lot of big rooms at Foothill on campus. So yeah. And bring a laptop. You have a laptop, right? Yeah. So I think so, because the classrooms that I used to lecture in, they did have laptops. Real pain in the ass to use, and they're slow. They don't connect to the VM, and students have to wait, and so it's more of a pain to use. And then the screens are small and the keyboard is clunky. So if you bring your own laptop, it's much better. The Wi-Fi is good.
Well, you're describing my laptop.
Yeah, you got to get a new one. Well, you look like a gamer, so you should have a gaming laptop.
I did, but it was reappropriated.
I see. Okay.
All
right. Even the cheap Costco notebooks are really good. Yeah, they have decent sized screens and so on. In fact, if you're on campus, you can go to the library. Go to the library on campus and say, I need a laptop on loan or something like that. I am like 90% sure they have laptops they give to students. You just need your student ID, and
this one's adequate, but it's just like the mouse board doesn't work, so I use a mouse, and it's a little funky with Zoom audio.
Yeah. Just get a laptop from Foothill. I'm pretty sure they have that. If you don't have any other questions for me, I can take off, and you guys can have your conversation like before. Quest 6 should be fun. Right when you get there, it's fine. It's just drawing shapes, and I think that'll be relaxing. All right. See you guys later, okay?
All right, thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Professor.
Thanks. I didn't know this was an art class.
How was
So-
the midterm?
I think you already heard my answer.
It was okay. There are some I had no idea how to answer it. It's all right.
Yeah.
Just trying to just review all those concepts took a while. Like trying to remember certain things, and I mean, it's open book. I mean, you can refer, but again, you only have an hour. But yeah, it was not too bad, I guess. Thank God I didn't ask to code something. It was just all multiple choice. If I was asked to code something, I'll be like, wow, to remember how to write this or
Right, yeah.
in within a specified time limit, So, so yeah, again, the concepts is just trying to remember some things.
Yeah, I think the hardest ones were like where you had to do which of the following ones are true. Because then it's not just one answer. You have to sort of evaluate every single one. And then that'll like, if you choose the wrong one, that's like a point, like it'll like deduct the points and all. And yeah.
Yeah, I hated that. There's more than one answer. Great. Yeah, there was one I was so confused about, which is because you have a bunch of methods, and then they give you the main
Yeah, that was
what the
confusing.
main when the user provides which function it
I don't think that
calls.
was a good one. I don't
I
think
was
that was a
so
question in
confused.
general. I
Yeah,
tried to
because
figure it
yeah.
but I decided just to not waste any more time on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was so confusing. Like it had, what was it? Which function does it call if the user says some string plus 5? Like what? And then you look at the functions, like there's just the function signature. That's it.
It's
No
very
code,
vague.
just the function signature, the name wait,
It's
what?
very vague. That was very vague.
So vague. So
I don't think.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way to see the correct answers too, right? Like we'll never know.
Ah,
I asked the professor, like I emailed him, he said that he'll release it tomorrow.
okay,
Oh,
good.
How will we see that? Or where will he
I
release
think
it?
if we should, I'm not sure, but I think maybe just the canvas, because right now it just like hides the questions, but sometimes if the professor lets it, you can see the questions you got right in
Honestly, I
wrong.
think that's the only question there that's to be asked. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's like very vague. Like, what is what type and what is what type? Like,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I was praying for you guys.
Oh, thanks. I was like, at first before this exam, I was like, I should have made this just credit for, I should have changed it. It's still graded. Like, I should have made this just a credit, no credit class. Ugh. Whatever.
be fun. I'm sure if you do all the quests, you'll have a good grade. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, what percentage of the grade is the midterm?
I forgot.
I think the final and midterm together are 25, maybe.
25%.
Yeah.
But then like the quests are 45, so
And then
Gotta
the
get the
rest
extra
is-
credit.
and then extra credit.
Yeah.
Oh, subreddit, being
I'm
active
banking on that.
subreddit. Yeah. I haven't been active on subreddit as much, so. Anyway,
I'm not a Reddit user.
I don't know what insight I can give for this last quest. Like, oh, the 2-string. Oh, that's the way the char. I don't. Well, I learned something, definitely. So.
Yeah, I think like he didn't really get into it, but like sprintf is a newer version of printf, which is just a C function, not a C++ function.
Oh,
So
F.
it's not as like robust and guarded as like some of the string functions that we use, which will like pretty explicitly tell you if you're doing something wrong.
mhm.
That's why whenever I look on Stack Overflow for any sort of advice, and they're talking about C style arrays,
Yeah.
like that with
Yeah.
new char brackets, something.
Yeah.
They're always like, don't do that, don't use that. It's unsafe. You have to keep track of so much stuff. So yeah, I was
I see.
surprised to see that he recommended that for that mini quest.
For that mini quest, yeah, okay.
How about the exceptions? Like, there's, I don't know.
What about him?
I'm doing like the reciprocal right now, which is just like an equation, I guess, but I'm just worrying about the exceptions.
Oh yeah, great
You're
commentary.
worried about them?
By the way,
I
great
mean,
commentary on that, Namrata and Dylan, that exchange between you two with the exception, the what and the 2-string. So that was an interesting
what
Yeah, I
two-string?
was so confused about that. Like,
I know.
because I was like, is it supposed to do something different? Like, am I missing something here?
I mean, all I did was like return, like I put in whatever the teacher wants us to put in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
return statement.
I didn't question it too much.
Is that what it's supposed to just do? Like,
For which
what?
one?
Well,
The
From what I-
exception, inner class for the exception, the 0 division.
I'm trying to pull it up here.
I think you just have to throw the exception back, right? Like you don't have to do anything more than that.
Yeah,
So it just return either what you want. Like, you could call it by E, I guess. And then throw, and we'll just call that string. Either one you prefer. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Dylan said it on this post, like
Okay.
to have. I think he said what calls the string, and then the string returns. I think that's yeah. Dylan had a good post on it.
yeah. It seemed like
String calls
from
the-
my research that like normally what would have like some extra info about
Yeah,
like
that's what I was
the error code and like stuff like that, and it would call 2-string, but we didn't do that for this quest. They just do the same thing. So I just made 2-string do what it's supposed to, and then I just called it in what, which felt redundant.
It works either
The-
way. I believe. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter which one you use for it.
The next quest, I haven't really finished filling it out fully yet, but it looks pretty fun we're like drawing some stick figures and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't
I don't know if
started.
you
I'm
guys
still.
have gotten into that.
No, I'm only on the constructor. I haven't started. So.
Are we playing Hangman?
Yeah, it looks like you could with this. I tried to
Yeah.
do like my normal thing of just doing the bare minimum and submitting to see if I was getting it right, but you kind of have to like flesh out the whole, or you at least
I
have to
don't
put
think
like all
so.
the classes and stuff in there. You can't like just have the
Well,
shape class or anything.
yeah.
You gotta
Oh,
have
yeah.
all the other
Okay.
ones that the test won't work.
You'd have to like return at least all the right data types.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Namrata, did you figure out that problem you were having with drawing the line?
Oh, yeah, I realized it was really silly. It was just I mixed up like x1 and x2. Like I was passing in like the wrong arguments when I was calling the function again, and they just they look really similar. So it took me a while to find it, but it was not like a big issue.
Yeah, it looks like it could be pretty confusing with all these one letter parameters and stuff.
Yeah, this has like just more math than like the actual like inheritance. There was more the math things that were kind of like trippy than, because the other things were
Oh,
pretty well
really?
laid out. Well, at least for me, just like in the beginning. But the specs go over it pretty well. It's just making sure you're doing it correctly, because like it can be like one off and things like that, and then it kind of messes up.
I gotcha.
Anything that I should be aware of in Quest 5?
In Quest 5, the complex one,
Yeah.
I thought it was like, as long as this one was the most descriptive of the specs, I thought so
Yeah.
far. If you just sort of follow along and do exactly what it says to do, I feel like I didn't really have to do much thinking for it. It's a little tricky sometimes, again, with the math, but
Yeah.
you sort of described everything pretty well.
I think the trickiest part was the beginning, because like the return statements, you're not gonna like understand that you have to like return the constructor or something.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, like a blank constructor, you know, not a blank constructor, but like the parameters in the constructor.
How many quests are there total?
I think there
I
is
think
there
there's
9?
nine.
9.
There's 9.
Because he was
Well,
talking about
16.
some like extra credit quest if we like got to a
Oh.
certain point at a certain time, and I just like don't really know how realistic that goal is. I feel like I can only really do like one a week.
Yeah. Yep. That's all I have time for.
I have
So-
lots of that.
So in Quest 5 though, so the return types, you have most of the operator overload and even reciprocal, you return complex object, but then the assignment operator had the reference of a complex object. So why the difference if the assignment operator is the reference of a complex object, while the others, operator plus, minus, reciprocal, is just the complex object itself? So
I remember like trying to research that a while back. I don't totally know if I'm correct on this, so like take it with a grain of salt, but
okay.
Normally when you return a reference with those operator things, so you can chain it, so you can say like this times this times this times this,
Okay.
all in one statement. And when you return a value, like just a complex, that's like a new object. And so that's normally for like your plus, minus, equals and stuff like that, because you don't,
Yeah.
when you say like A plus B, you don't want to overwrite A with that
Right.
new value.
Got
It'll
it.
be some new thing.
Okay.
So
That's
it's
true.
normally some
That is
extension
true.
of that, but I have seen people talk about, different reasons why you might not go with that, or, it just depends on what sort of implementation details you have.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, if you guys don't have any
No,
questions or concerns, I'm gonna get back to this quest.
yeah, probably on Monday we'll have more questions for quest 6. So I
Yeah.
just started.
Yeah, same here.
Show us your drawing of the Mona Lisa.
What was that?
Show us your drawing of the Mona Lisa.
I don't
Okay.
know
I'm
if I'll
joking.
get that far, but I'll
Oh.
try.
Yeah.
As long as I get the stick man, that'll be good enough for me.
Oh,
Yeah. I guess that's all we can draw, huh?
I
Stick
mean,
figures.
Stick figures.
the limit is your imagination, I guess.
Yeah.
All right,
right,
I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you. Good luck.